I'm Harriet Rose.
And I'm Jonathan Ross. And by the way, I hate travelling.
He hates travelling. I've actually managed to get the legend icon that is Jonathan Ross on this show.
Very flattering. Thank you very much.
I'm astounded.
I'm delighted to be here. I like you, Harriet. I particularly like your dress sense. I always look at the way you're dressed and think, actually, I'm going to try and copy that. And in a way, I have. I've just realised, look, if I do that up...
We look the same, but in different colours.
Not quite the same, but... Oh, that's quite uncomfortable.
You look a bit younger than me.
Oh, I don't, but I'd get a hot neck if I had that done up all the time. I'd get too hot. Are you not too hot?
My neck doesn't get that hot.
You're lucky.
Can I just say, you do dress a bit like a soft mask lesbian.
I take that as a huge compliment.
Yeah,
I think as you get older, men begin to look more like lesbians anyway.
Yeah.
Like you see like older men and their face gets softer. It's like Robert Redford, towards the end of life. I imagine he was on a lot of lesbians' hit list. Because he had a sort of softer face and like that kind of, the same sort of hair that, you know, like sort of like soft with a few highlights in.
Yeah.
Ashy blonde. You know, he looked kind of like, you imagine two ladies walking the dogs together and one of them's Robert Redford. He was lovely, by the way. I met him a few times.
Of course you did. And by the way, that is my favourite thing. One of my favourite things about Jonathan Ross is I'll mention anyone. It could be Buzz Aldrin or it could be David Attenborough, and you've met them.
Yes, I've met both of those. Not at the same time.
That would be
Not
weird.
Not the same place, but yeah. But Buzz Aldrin I met once very briefly at some sort of functional dinner. David Attenborough
I was joking, Jonathan. You actually have met them both.
Yes. David Attenborough I met loads of times, and he's exception. I mean, he's everything you want him to be.
I heard that he was voted as the #1 most loved person in the UK.
Well, you know, the weird thing is like when people become some sort of a public figure, regardless of how away, there'll almost always be a small group of people who don't like them. You know, that goes with the territory. So there'll be people who adore them and other people say, absolutely not for me. David Attenborough's the only person I know I've never heard anyone say, well, yeah, but.
No.
You know, everyone loves David Attenborough, I think.
And he's a nice guy IRL?
Incredible. And his brother, Richard Attenborough, who's sadly no longer with us, he was a lovely man as well and a great director.
Great actor as well.
Yeah, very good.
We can transition very lightly onto your travel, because Buzz Aldrin, he travelled to the moon.
When you said we can transition for a moment, I panicked.
What, are you ready? Because I'm going to...
I thought I was going to be forced into some sort of a change that I'm not quite ready for.
No, you're going to get forced. This is 2026. Be ready for it.
You can't do that to people.
Yes, I can. You met Buzz Aldrin, but you are telling people that you hate travel. He travelled to the moon.
He travelled to the moon, but is that travelling as such? I mean, that was a scientific endeavour of enormous importance, whereas, I mean, what I'm talking about is not the same. I'm not saying, for example, we should stop trying to explore the universe. I'm just saying that I think it's a little overrated and people rush into it and people do it too much. It's not good for the planet, for a start.
Yep.
So I've got the moral high ground there. But also it's a pain in the arse. And half the time, it's so much fuss getting ready. It's so much of a faff getting to the airport, getting in early, making sure your bag's packed a certain way, putting things in a little bag so you can go through security, taking your shoes off, taking your belt off, having a stranger fill you up, get on the plane, wait on the plane's delayed, you're stuck on the tarmac, it takes off, it's bumpy on the way there, the Wi-Fi doesn't work, you get there, you've got to wait till you get off, you're driving around in a plane till they can find somewhere to park, and they knew you were coming, why didn't they have a parking space ready? You get out of the plane, you've got to go and queue up, you queue up for a long time to go through security, and you think, am I going to be letting this country, I haven't done anything wrong. You queue up to get your bags. Sometimes your bags aren't there. You have to then go and queue up to get a car or a taxi to get somewhere. That is probably a good, at least a whole day of your life gone doing irritating things. For what? Normally to go and just sit by a pool somewhere. Wait till the summer, go down, get in your car, drive down to somewhere nice in the UK, sit by a pool there. There you go.
Go to Butlins.
And what the great thing about that is you leave at 9 in the morning, you're by the pool by lunchtime.
What more do we need to discuss? How early did you get to the airport, Jonathan?
I get to the... okay, so...
I want you to be really specific about this.
Okay, well, I normally get there only a little bit earlier than you need to get there for, right? But I always get there on time.
So the average time to arrive at the airport before either long or short haul, I believe, is 2 hours before your flight.
2 hours.
Yeah. It used to be, when things were cool, an hour and a half max for short haul. But now everyone's like, 2 hours.
I'll tell you a story about the shortest time when we were late once due to traffic in Miami, where we got to the airport once. But I'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
You'll enjoy that story. But yeah, I always try and get there like half an hour before that window. So if it's 2 hours, I'll try and get... No, it's not too much, because I'm never travelling alone, and I'm used to travelling. Bear in mind, although they're grown up now, I'm still travelling normally with my family. So when you've got a lot of people to wrangle,
yeah,
it does always take you a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
because you've got more people.
That's true.
more
You have
bags.
3 kids.
Yeah. And normally we travel with, if they're all going with us, with their partners as well. And so it's quite a big group of people. And it's like, okay, everyone got their passports. Okay, come this way. No. And, you've just got to make sure. And some of them want to go outside to smoke. And, it's all that sort of nonsense.
Are you an airport dad?
Sort of, yes. But, yeah.
Do you know what an airport dad is?
No, but I said yes.
Airport dad.
I hope I haven't got
Could be a
myself in-
really bad
Have I
thing.
got myself in trouble? It's not like a zaddy.
Yeah.
Is that what it
You
means?
said it.
Does it mean a sexy dad at an
I
airport?
think you're a bit of a zaddy.
Thank you.
I think you're a bit of a zaddy.
Okay, I'll
and he
take it.
hasn't ever had Botox, he told me earlier.
No Botox, but I did have an operation on my forehead when I was a kid. You can see the scar then. When I wrinkle my forehead, only half goes up, look. Because the other half hasn't got any meat in it.
Skincare tips from Jonathan Ross.
It's not really a great tip, though, is it? Have a lump removed from your head on the NHS when you're 18. 17?
Hey, listen, anything helps.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get to the airport 2.5 hours before the flight.
Yes.
I think that's too much personally. I'm getting there max 2 hours before, if anything, an hour and a half before.
But you're still there in more or less good time.
Yeah.
But there is a chance, though, that you might hit a kind of a logjam of people and you might then be rushing and maybe not even make your flight, Harriet Rose. So what are you going to do then?
I've never missed a flight.
So far. Don't come calling me and crying when you... Don't say, oh, do you know anyone at BA? Can they hold flight number 473 because I was late? That's what's going to happen, Harriet Rose.
If anything was going to save me, I would go to the front and say, Jonathan Ross is on the phone.
That will get you absolutely nowhere. That would get you, if anything, that would get you bummed off the flight. But one time we were in Miami on holiday. I was on holiday with the family, and we had to take our car back to the car hire place. And in Miami, annoyingly, a lot of the car hire places aren't at the actual airport.
What?
They're like quite nearby. So you have to drop the car and get a shuttle bus back to the airport. And as we left to go to the airport, more or less on time, this storm broke up, this enormous storm. And the traffic just got logged down. So we were sitting on a bridge that we couldn't get over for about an hour. So when we finally arrived, we were getting to the airport, and I thought, okay, the flight was leaving in like 40 minutes.
No.
But we weren't actually at the airport yet, and I had to drop the car off, get all our bags out. We'd been away for quite a while, get the shuttle to... I thought, we're not going to make it. So instead, I drove up right to the airport. I thought, I'll deal with the travel economy. We got there. It was like 5 minutes, 10 minutes before they were shutting the gate even. We raced in. I said, blah, 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 blah. They said, okay, you can do it there. But then what did I do with the car? And you know what I did with the car? Left it there. I went back, chucked the keys in, just got on the flight. Got on the plane, phoned the travel agent, said, I'm so sorry, I don't know what's happened to the car. We got to the airport. I hope I'm not going to get in legal trouble. So we got to the airport, took our bags in. When I came out, I must have left the key in the car. Someone had driven it off. Maybe it was security.
And that worked?
Yeah.
They didn't charge you?
No.
That is because you're Jonathan Ross.
Maybe, I don't know. But either way, and I feel a bit embarrassed saying that, but it was like,
You're not.
It wasn't our fault getting there late. It was circumstances, and we had to get that flight home.
It's not his fault that there was a storm in Miami.
No. Who would have thought that would ever happen?
I had a clenched bum the entire time you were telling me that story.
And was that pleasant for you?
Yeah, not this time.
Good.
I do understand your theory on not traveling too late, making sure you have enough time, but I like to fly by the seat of my pants. I quite like the idea of it being a bit stressful.
Well, I mean, I'm asking this question not for the first time. What's wrong with you? What's
So
wrong with you? Why do you like stress? What do you actually enjoy?
I do.
Stress you could avoid.
Yeah, but don't you? Because we do the same job in
don't.
theory.
Yeah,
You've been doing it longer than me.
Yeah, and I do everything I can to remove anything stressful out of the way before I do it.
But you interview people for a living. Sometimes that's stressful, no?
That is stressful, but I'll remove everything that I can remove out of the stress beforehand. So I will be as prepared as possible.
Yes.
I'll be on time. Or maybe I'll have had a bath. I'll have done things that might
Maybe.
make the experience a little easier. But I certainly wouldn't rush up and like, oh, I'm late and I've forgotten stuff. Or, I have had times where, occasionally I remember where things happen and it becomes stressful, not through your fault. I was interviewing Harrison Ford once and we were doing him for a special about him.
And that's not, he's renowned to be just not a hard interview, but he's not easy to please.
He's not sort of like garrulous. He's not kind of like, you don't just hit the button and he goes off, But if you're prepared and you know what you want to talk to him about and the conversations are all different, of course, you know that. And so if you go in prepared, I've interviewed people who are like famously hate being interviewed. And if you approach it from the right way, you can have quite an easy experience. There was a guy called Lou Reed. I don't know if you know Lou Reed. He was a contemporary of Bowie's. Okay. So, and he hated Johnny Sanders. And I so read up on him and I even knew like who his favourite teacher was at school. But I knew I could kind of get into him by just being respectful. And I worked out halfway through that I think he was tired of people offering their opinions about him in the shape of questions rather than genuinely asking questions. So, so I'll prepare that. But this Harrison Ford thing, so we were meant to have him for an hour, and he was doing junkets upstairs for a film he had out about, he was a submarine pilot and something, captain. And he came downstairs, and so we sat down, and so all day he's been speaking with people who have a 5-minute slot with him. You know the score.
Yeah.
And they'll go, tell us about the film. What was it like? Did you learn any Russian? How was this? Did you enjoy it? Bye. So he sat down ready for one of them, and I went, I'd like to start with, I'm going to start with one of your less talked about films, Mosquito Coast. He went, oh, okay. And I asked him the question. He went, I said, but of course before that you'd been doing it. And he went, okay, yeah. And he answered that. And then after he said, sorry, how long are you going to be interviewing for? I said, well, I think we've got you for an hour and a half. He went, oh. So I thought this was like 5 minutes. I went, no, Harrison, we're doing a special. It's a special about your career. He went, oh. I better phone upstairs because Callista wants to go shopping. And he had Callista Flockhart, his partner, was upstairs waiting in the bedroom. They were going to go shopping in London. Yeah, and I actually heard the phone. He went, I don't know, honey. I don't know. An hour and a half. I'm really sorry. We got. So that was not our fault. But obviously the stress there was, oh, my God, is he just going to leave?
Oh, my God. I'm also obsessed that you caused marital beef.
Not my fault.
Someone's
fault.
My hands are clean.
But we're not a blaming society.
Hey.
Let's not do it.
Hey. Tell me, who is the kind of person that you would travel to interview? Like, who would you say is the biggest person that you've taken a plane, which sounds like it's your worst nightmare?
I've travelled to interview lots of people over the years. And once again, I don't mind travel for work. I understand, it's like, and that's because it's a job. I travelled to interview Anthony Hopkins once in LA, and I knew him a little bit. And so I did the interview with him, and the next morning he said, let's have breakfast together. And I went back down to this place in LA near where he was staying. We had a lovely breakfast, and I thought, I'm so lucky. I'm sitting here. It was a quiet morning in this restaurant. We were right by the sea. Went to this hotel where you're sitting more or less on the beach, just having a nice breakfast, and it's like this brilliant man sitting opposite me. But over the years, I've made documentaries as well, so I would travel for people I was interested in, like David Lynch. I interviewed a number of times, quite a long time ago, in actual fact, quite early in his career and mine. People like, filmmakers generally I would go for. But then I would travel for people who I would, like, for example, right now, if I had the chance to go and do Dolly Parton, I'd go and do Dolly Parton.
Have you met her?
I've met her, but I've never interviewed her.
Really?
Yeah. Or maybe I did. I can't. The problem is I forget I've interviewed so many people. I might have done a quick interview with her. I remember once someone was saying, oh, yeah, you interviewed so-and-so. I went, nope. And they went, you did? I went, I've never interviewed them. And they did something on the phone. I went, oh, yeah, I did interview them. I'd completely forgotten.
That's the problem with your whole career being filmed.
and it's a problem with being older.
Yeah.
You forget things.
And someone's always going to tell you you're wrong.
Yeah.
Let's get into travel a little bit more. People tend to, when they're 18, like the young generation, you've got kids around similar age, they tend to want to do like a gap year. What's your feelings on a gap year?
I think a gap year is indulgent nonsense. It's indulgent. What the point of a gap? What do you mean a gap year? A gap from what? You haven't done anything yet. You've been to school, which is good. Thank God you went to school.
Yeah.
But it's not like, like in Victorian times, if someone had been working, kids used to go and clean chimneys from like 9. They needed a gap year. They didn't get the chance. Okay, it's like gap year. And people say, oh, they're going to go and broaden they don't broaden they get a bit more experience. They get experience about, how to smoke weed in Falowiki or something. I don't genuinely believe it's particularly character building.
Right.
I think it's fun. And the kids who can afford it and have the time, great, have a fun. But don't pretend it's anything other than that. What you're doing is you're having a big holiday before the reality of life and the grimness of the existence you're about to endure, like all of us, settles on your shoulders.
Yeah, it's so true, because when you're at school, you get 6 weeks holiday in the summer.
6 weeks holiday. And school, let's face it, school is what? 9:30 till 3:30. It's not even a full day. You're not even doing a full day.
So basically, only Victorian children can take gap years?
Yes, ideally.
Okay. Because I actually, controversially, don't disagree with you.
Oh.
Because I've always been focused on my career, and therefore I haven't really travelled, and I get a bit homesick. Even wherever I am, I just want to be at home.
You see, this is the thing. I'm glad to hear this. It's nice to hear some common sense. If your home is nice, if you're lucky enough, a lot of people don't have a particularly nice home.
True.
But if you're lucky enough to have a nice home, and it doesn't have to be a grand home, but if it's comfortable,
yeah,
and you've got the things you need, then it's probably the best place to be. And it should be. In actual fact, it should be that is the balm to your soul after a long day or a difficult day, or if you're going through any stress, you think, but home's waiting for me.
Yeah.
And I go home and I've got a perfectly lovely house, of course, and I've got 2 little dogs that are excited when I walk in, and my lovely wife who can still tolerate me.
It was second on the list. Dogs first.
Well, the dogs rush to see me first, so I'm doing it in order of arrival, right? And my wife, who I'm so lucky to have in my life, and and that is ideally where I would like to be all the time, which is an amazing. I'm so grateful that I feel that way, and I'm so lucky to have that situation because a lot of people don't. But even when I'm away, and if I'm away doing something fun, even there's a large part of me just wants to be there, which is kind of what you said, I think.
Yeah, I just never. I think we need to spread awareness that it's a bit overrated to go to Thailand.
What's that thing about? Oh yeah, Thailand. I've never been to Thailand. It's one of the few places there's a few places I've never been to because I'm not that interested. I mean, I haven't been to Thailand. I'm sure it'd be fun.
It'd be amazing, but it's
I
not.
love the food, but it's a long way to go as well. And there are Thai restaurants in London. You know what I mean?
People tend to go where is it? Like Thailand, Vietnam.
Never been.
It's like a tour of that area, which
That
seems
part of Asia,
beautiful. But I don't think I can be bothered.
See, I've only ever gone places like that, that far away, normally for work or because I'm particularly interested in aspects of the culture, but that means normally entertainment culture as well. So, I've been to Hong Kong a few times.
Desperate to go to Japan, Hong Kong, and China.
Well, Hong Kong I went to back when it was still part of, it was still kind of linked to the British colonial sort of system in some way before it was handed over in '97. And I went out there to interview Jackie Chan a few times and Troy Hark and some other filmmakers from that period. And that was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing, partly, though, because I was going to see those people. And this was before Jackie Chan was really well known to a Western audience, so I did him very early. And I've been to Japan quite a few times, and I love Japan. I love Japanese culture, and I went to Japan last year.
I was going to say, controversially, you did just come back from Japan.
I would travel to Japan, but, it's like...
For a holiday.
Obviously, I'm a massive hypocrite. And obviously... I can, because I suppose when I say I don't like travel, I think it's sort of like random travel for beach holidays. To be honest with you, beach holidays, it's never been something that I've been particularly keen on. And people seem to enjoy them. And
what do you think about all the people that are going to Dubai?
I've never been to Dubai, and I'd probably never go. But, if that's really... Look, I'm not telling everyone, I'm not saying anyone's wrong.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's not for me. And I can sort of I suppose I can see, but I don't understand what they're getting from it because I don't enjoy just that sitting by the pool thing.
Yeah, you like to do bits and bobs.
Yeah, so I suppose it's like trying to explain to a dog what a cat enjoys. You know what I mean? It's like a dog, they do some similar things, but there's some things a cat would do that a dog would just think, why the fuck are you doing that? Right? And when I know people are going off somewhere like that, I feel like a dog looking at a cat who's doing something bizarre. I'm thinking, why are you wasting your time?
Why are you going to Dubai, Kat?
Just not in my mind. Just doesn't work that way.
Okay, what do you think about going away in a van or living in a van?
I like the idea of living in a van. I think that'd be quite fun. But I suspect the reality is nowhere like the kind of romantic version we've all seen on Instagram. Because if you're living in a van, you've got to do things like once a week find somewhere to empty out the container that's been collecting all of your waste.
Your poo.
So, if you're not prepared to do that, if you're not aware of that reality, then, you know what I mean? It's like there'll be a container carrying your stuff around with you, and you're going to have to do it once a week, roll up your sleeves, take off the lid, find somewhere to get rid of it. And if you want to shower, sometimes you've got to go somewhere like you have to go to somewhere, there's a sports club where they'll let you use your shower or something.
I've done that when I have my bathroom done. It's not fun.
It's not great. So, the reality of it, you see someone lying, there's a man with a guitar, which would be annoying actually, but there's normally a bloke and there's a woman in a flowery dress and they're lying looking at a beautiful sunset. And you're thinking the truth really is they're driving somewhere and it's pissing down with rain outside. And he's saying, literally, we're running on fumes now. We need to find a petrol station.
Yeah.
Watch that smell. Did you empty out the shit?
Yeah.
That's
and then
the
you'll run out of petrol and you're full of shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a good combo.
So, but I like the idea. I like the fantasy of it.
I do too. As a kid, I exclusively, we went on only caravan holidays.
Nice.
This is something this is actually, I'm going to bring up a bugbear now. I think taking your kids really far on a plane is pointless. Why are you wasting your time on a holiday that your kid's not going to remember? For the first 12, 13 years of my life, I never went anywhere other than France.
Hold it, but 12, 13 years, I mean, you remember stuff before you were 13.
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
you?
yeah. But my point being, I had a great old time in
No.
a caravan park until I was 13
That sounds amazing.
in France.
I think, though, if you were traveling, for example, and you wanted to share with your kids the joy of Disney World
sure.
or Universal, but although you can get a version of that in France now, of course.
Yeah.
Then you might want to do that. But you're right, I think it is, because it's really stressful for kids, those long flights. And it's stressful for the parents as well. When my kids were little, a few times when we flew a long way with them, you have to plan those flights with a sort of military precision. You say, okay, well, after an hour, I've got this to bring out if they're getting too bored. But of course, I'm talking about traveling in the days before they had quite as much entertainment on planes, you know.
Yeah. And I plan to sit away from families like you on the plane.
Well, not me anymore. My kids are all about your age.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean? So it's not the same. But I don't mind when people have kids on the plane.
No, I don't really.
It doesn't bother me. Noise doesn't bother me. I know some people, and I understand why. And, you know, when if you've got a screaming infant next to you. A friend of mine was in a relationship with a woman from Australia, and they had a child, and then they split up. And so they wanted joint custody. So he had to go back to Australia to get the child for his turn. And he had to fly back. He was flying back from Australia in economy with a child who cried all the way.
Oh, poor thing.
And he said, you know, I love my child, but if those windows had opened, I'd have probably chucked him out and jumped out myself.
Yeah.
So, you know,
It is hard traveling with kids, but that's why when that comes, I think about my childhood in terms of holidays, right? And there's so much joy that I found in the minimal, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Is I think we absolutely we seem to put a lot of energy into families. You need to earn loads of money so that you can take your kids to Disneyland.
Yeah,
and
that's
I'm like,
a shame.
no, you don't. You can take your kids to Bognor. You can take your kids to France on the Channel on the ferry.
Don't have a holiday.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up. I only had like 2 holidays when I was a kid.
Yeah.
We went
in total.
Yeah.
You sound like my dad.
Maybe 3 actually.
Did you have shoes? Because my dad didn't have shoes.
I had shoes, but when I was a kid, sometimes my shoes had holes in it, and I used to have to put paper or cardboard in it.
And this is where we just insert this little time.
I know, and I'm not milking this for sympathy, but genuinely, and that wasn't that uncommon where I grew up.
No.
I grew up in East London in the 60s. You know, it wasn't that uncommon.
It wasn't a wasteful time. I think now we live in a more wasteful time where you can buy shoes for £10.
Yeah.
Whereas you couldn't get a pair of shoes back then for £2.
I've got no idea where you got those figures from. And nor do you. You know those figures won't hold up if we were to do a search now. So it's £2 for a pair of shoes you're thinking back then. I've got no idea because I was a kid. I wasn't
on
buying
Temu, there's shoes for £2.
On Temu, you buy a house for £2. I imagine. But we went to Ramsgate, and we stayed in. I'm one of 6 kids, so there were 8 of us, and we stayed in the top floor of a house. So it was one big room that most of the kids slept in, and a little bedroom my parents, and that was it for a week in Ramsgate. But you know what? We had a lovely time because we went to the sea, and it was fairly sunny, and there were different shops there.
Yeah.
And we played in the sand, you know, and it's kind of all you needed. But I do think you're right. People do feel that, you know, and I don't just want to blame the internet, but these days more and more people look on and see other people seeming to have these wonderful, blessed, kind of like trouble-free lives, and they think, okay, I want that for my family. And I understand why, and it's so unhealthy comparing yourself to anyone else anyway.
Yeah.
But you can see why if they've got kids, you know, and they think their kids are missing out in some way. But of course they're not, because what they really want is you to be attentive and to be there with them and to have fun together. They just want to have a nice time. They don't really care where it is, I don't think.
That's so true. And I think that's what makes me sad is I had such a low key. We were so low key. And don't get me wrong, we did end up going to Disneyland when I was older. But it was, to me, it was pure joy to be in a caravan park and working out if that boy over there spoke English and I could try and communicate with him by riding a bike.
This was before you'd worked out things, was it? Yeah.
Maybe he looked a bit like you.
Yeah,
a soft masculine.
Very soft, like an egg.
Yeah.
But that was part of the fun, wasn't it? You'd go somewhere and you'd meet other kids and you'd do other things and just do it in a different environment. You know, it's kind of enough, isn't it? I think.
I want to talk about staycations.
Yes.
You had a little staycation north of the border. You went up to Scotland, for a little...
yes. I did Traitors.
Little hollybobs.
Yeah. Well, not really. It was about as far from a holiday as you can possibly get.
Was it quite hard?
It was stressful.
Yes.
It was stressful because I was a traitor. I think if I'd have been a faithful, I'd have found it a lot less stressful. And I was trying to think, partly afterwards I thought I found it stressful because I didn't like lying to people. And that's true. But then I realised there were so many other reasons why I found it discomforting, I think, over and above that. You know what I mean? You tend to look for one reason.
Yeah.
And actually, it was also that I was doing something where I had no control. I was doing something where I didn't know what was coming up next. I was doing something when I didn't know how it was playing out. I was doing something where I couldn't understand, and I didn't know my place in the setup. You know what I mean? Where normally you kind of know where you stand in a room. You go in a room and like people like you or they don't like you, and you're fine. You're relaxed. But when you're in a room where people are talking about you over there, but maybe they're
you
not,
have to just ignore
and
a
people are
bit.
talking about that, but you have to go and say, "You're talking about me," and they're saying, "Yeah, we're saying this about you." You know, it was like discomforting because you know that we're all talking about each other. But what's interesting was, everyone really bonded as a result of it. I mean, I think everyone there, you're sort of like, you would do a favor for them more than you would have done beforehand.
Yeah.
Just because you've been through an interesting and quite challenging experience together. And I'm really pleased I did it because it was so popular and it was so nice to be involved in something which was seen as, a pleasant diversion for everyone.
Oh, everybody loved it. Was there anything you would change about your experience?
Well, looking back, you could play it differently. And there are things perhaps, but nothing major really.
I think you're what I like about you is I think in a weird way, don't take this the wrong way, we're quite similar. I think we're both quite straight talking people, like we say what we think.
Yeah.
And I think that can be diversive.
It can be, and sometimes you can say the wrong thing, of course, because sometimes you'll misread the room, and or you'll say something which is meant to be a joke and isn't taken as a joke.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how I've got better at being a little bit more controlled about what I say. But I'm fairly straightforward, because life's too short. I don't, and as you get older, you get a bit grumpy, and you get a bit grumpy because you've seen it or done it all before, and you've just got less time to waste. That's an unfortunate fact of being nearer the grave. So,
which might be, again, why you don't like travelling, because it's a bit of a waste of time.
It is, because it's a waste of time, that's all. Because I like the arriving part. That's fine. Normally when I go somewhere, even if I don't particularly want to be there, normally when I go somewhere, part of me is always thinking I'd rather be at home. But at the same time you can enjoy it. But it's just, as I said, the tedium of like the necessary nonsense of travel, like security, like passports, like packing, that kind of thing. Although, isn't it always amazing? Do you feel this way? Because as you know, I've got a lot of stuff. I've got too much stuff. I've held on to most of the stuff I bought in my life.
Well, it takes a lot to look like a soft mass lesbian.
Exactly. I've got a lot of wardrobe space. And but when you travel and you've got one bag and you've lived with that bag for a lot, and you think, actually, I've got everything I need right here.
Yeah.
You do feel a bit awful when you go home and think, I've got so much stuff, but then you still find it hard to get rid of it.
I am the opposite of you. I go on holiday and I'm like, I've not got enough stuff. I hate it. That's a part of the travel that I hate, because I love to travel.
Yeah, but you basically wear a kind of plain knitted top and a white shirt. That's it. That's basically your look.
I dress like a boy doing his GCSEs.
Yeah, you dress like a nice 12-year-old boy who's been well brought up, quite clean. And so it's like a shirt and tie and either a cardi or a kind of like a little crew neck.
And I've always forgotten my gym kit.
So you only need 2 or 3 items with you, really.
Yeah, I know, but I don't. I wear 16. I'll take 7 pairs of shoes on holiday.
See, that's a stupid thing to do.
Yeah.
And I can't afford to do that because my feet are big. I'm an 11. So if I put like 4 pairs of shoes in there, that's taking up a whole suitcase.
That's 10 metres.
Yeah. So especially I've got some like Rico in boots. They're big.
Yeah.
So, but I've learned to. So last time I went to Japan, it was fine. I got it sorted out. I took some comfortable shoes like this, right? And these are like slip-on. Skechers.
What age do you think you have to start wearing? What is it like written in stone that like there's an age you get to where you have to start wearing Skechers?
60. So you've got 2 years. But it's not so much because they're obviously comfortable, but there's a slight residual shame when people know you wear Skechers, but they're so fucking convenient.
They're comfy.
So I took some to Japan with me, and they were great. I was thinking even now that I should try and get some spons here. I should do a little advert, say, I'm in Japan. I've never been more comfortable wearing my Skechers. And I was actually going to film it, and I didn't. So I was wondering, but the time before I went, I took some Gucci trainers, which were designed, I think, by someone who's never seen a foot. Because I wore them for half an hour and thought, why does my foot hurt in so many different places? I'll be honest, it didn't even look that good.
No.
And it was coupled with the fact that I had to have root canal work on that trip, so that wasn't great. I had a bad tooth before I went out there, and the dentist said, you'll be fine till you get back. The pressure in the plane made it go. When I landed in Japan, my face had swollen up this much on this side. Right, literally. So much so, I couldn't use my face recognition on my phone. The phone wouldn't recognize me. And I had to find an emergency dentist in Tokyo who spoke English. And who would be quite good. You imagine how awful that was. And that trip, I remember thinking, I'm going to fly home now. I'm going to fly out because I was in agony. My feet were hurting. Thank you, Gucci. My mouth was hurting. Thank you, dentist. Right? And I just was trapped. But fortunately, with the help of a good local dentist and some amazing Japanese painkillers, I had a lovely time.
And again, you getting yourself into some sort of medical drama that enhances your facial features. You had filler for half a week.
It didn't enhance it. It was out like this. It's like I had a bag, like a sort of like a large, like bollocks hanging off the side of my face. And I know how much that would appeal to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know I would have never spoken to you again.
Ever. You wouldn't even look at me.
In this show, I like to do a by the way for my guests.
I want to know what your by the way is.
Yeah. My by the way for Jonathan Ross. No, this is my by the way for Jonathan Ross.
It's tailored to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my by the way for you is you're one of my favourite people to converse with because by the way, you're hard to please. And what I mean by that is, we were discussing earlier, you said, like, sometimes you'll interview someone that this is different because you're not difficult, but you'll interview a difficult person and you can mould them and make them enjoy themselves. You are one of the people in life, when I first met you, I was desperate to, like, impress you and show you that I'm not shit at my job. And one thing about Jonathan is he really lets you know when he thinks you're good. And you are one of those people, and I thought there are certain moments in your career where you go, well, I think I might be quite good because you just gave me that energy.
So an endorsement which actually counted rather than just empty flattery.
Yeah. I can tell that you don't lie.
But I try not to let people know if I don't think they're good.
Yeah. Obviously, you're not going to tell someone, but I think I earned your trust.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I thought, oh, yeah, you know what you're doing. And also, I admired that you grafted. I could see that you graft. And, I grafted. When I first started out, I was always the first person in the morning and the last person to leave. Not that I did anything productive from that time. I just knew that it looked good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I admired that you grafted. And I could see that you knew what you're doing. I could see that you could roll with it in an interview and that you had the ability to sort of, regardless. And I'm not saying I know anything here, but, you always be in the right frame of mind. And I know everyone's always got some shit going on.
Yeah.
But you go in, and when you're working, you've got to leave that at the door, and it's harder to do than people think. I think so. Sometimes you go in and you'll hit the ground running, and it's like and you'd be a good presence, and you bring a good energy, and that is once again not as easy as people think.
Yeah.
Well,
thank you.
But you're correct in that assessment of me, I believe.
And I think I'm going to do another one for you. My other by the way is, by the way, Jonathan can bring you any fact about anything and you'll never see it coming. One of the first facts you came and gave me, which was my favourite thing, Jonathan, when we worked together on The Masked Singer, would come and knock on my dressing room. No one, basically.
I like to say hello to people when I turn up to work, like I would do in a regular job.
You're lovely. And you came in and you told me facts about a lesbian. And I was like, if you don't come every day and tell me a fact about a different lesbian...
That's the worst. I feel like the worst mansplainer now in the world. So I came in...
No, you didn't mansplain. Okay. You came and taught me about new lesbians that I hadn't heard of.
Was it Judy Sill I was talking about? Oh, she's amazing.
Yeah. But that's what I love about you is your thirst for knowledge and your thirst to give it to other people.
Well, that was also... Because I don't want to be the sort of person who goes in there, let me tell you about something I know that you don't. But really, I'd just been listening to the way in, and I so love Judy Sill, and not enough, and her life story is so fascinating, and so I thought you'd like the music primarily, and also I thought you would like the backstory.
Yeah.
I thought you'd find a sort of lesbo connection there.
Yeah, and I did find a lesbo connection, but that's why you're so good at your job, because you think about a person when you think about the questions or think about the conversation. You're like, I thought of you, and it's a beautiful... I think I try and do a similar thing where it's like you weave that person into your thought process, into your question creation. I was thinking of you when I thought of this question because I know you like lesbians, for example, which I love lesbians, as does Jonathan, because he dresses like one.
I like lesbians, but not in a creepy way.
Yeah. Normal.
Yeah.
Sort of in a fatherly way.
I probably don't like all lesbians. I just want to say that I'm sure I haven't met any I don't like yet, but there must be some out there.
Hey, there's dickheads in every realm of Earth.
Exactly. So I don't want to just say this is not a blanket, bring me your lesbians.
No. Right? Well, it's not bring me your lesbians. It's just I like you.
Bring me some lesbians, and I'll judge them case by case.
Yeah.
Not that I'm judging people.
This man, not getting cancelled today.
Not today.
So this is the point in the show where we like to let our guests either get something off their chest or share something with the gang. Like, let us know something that we don't know.
I've got so much to share. Where do I start?
I know.
Where do I start, Harriet Rose?
We'll be here for another 18 days.
Well, I'll tell you where I'll start with. I'll start with analog over digital. I'll start with why I prefer listening, and it's not just in terms of quality of the sound, but why I prefer listening to music, for example, and why I like watching some films when I actually own the physical content rather than via streaming platforms. So partly I think streaming platforms are evil. I think Apple and Spotify and everyone else, they don't look after the artists. You know, and it's not that people want to earn millions, but we all know there are small artists out there who are trying to get their work on Spotify, and they get it on there, and they've worked hard for something, and they'll get next to nothing back.
Yeah.
But Spotify are making a profit out of it.
Yeah.
You know, and that I find that alarming and off-putting. And also the fact that digital ownership, like, you know, we've all done it where you've paid to own a film on something, and then you go to watch it again, and it's gone because they no longer have it on the platform. And you think, oh, hold on, I thought I owned that, but I don't own it. And if you look at the terms and conditions, you know, you're not actually buying it. Whereas you buy a DVD, you've got it for as long as you've still got a DVD player, you can still watch it.
Yeah.
But music-wise, I came in today and I was listening, and because I was hopping over my office, I've got loads of equipment knocking around, and I grabbed an old-style Walkman to listen to on the way in, partly because I know if I'm listening on my phone, it's fine. And I do use my phone to listen to stuff, and I've got subs with all those companies, but I know that the combination of the sound quality is so much better when it's coming from a good quality cassette that I recorded it on, but also with headphones on, you know, it sounds amazing. And there's something about the act of having chosen that piece of music, but then being limited to that choice, which I think is healthy. I think when you pick up your phone, I'm sure you've done it, sometimes it's quite fun to put it on shuffle and hear what comes up.
Yeah.
But more often than not, if you put something on, you'll listen to the same thing again and again. And if you've got too much of everything, you don't sort of listen to it properly.
Yeah.
You listen to a little bit of the track and go, oh, I don't know, next one. Whereas if you've only got one cassette with you, you'll listen to every beat. You know, so I bought mine in today. I'll just show you the one I bought in today. This is...
Producer Basil's going to bring it in.
Basil. They haven't got the headphones with me, so I can't demonstrate. But so this is a good quality Sony Walkman from back in the day. Okay. So this
is very cool because it looks kind of like a clutch bag.
So that's a cassette, and that's a mixtape I made of like early East-West hip-hop. It's got great sound to it, and it's kind of like an interesting window of that period.
Did you make it, that mixtape?
I made that little mixtape. I've got like, you know, a little... Because this, you can make them on this. You just plug this into the record player, and you can select the track.
That is very
press
cool.
record.
So you have that record, and you made it into a cassette?
Well, that's a bunch of records to put onto one cassette. So I chose a track from here. You know how mixtapes work, right?
Yeah, I used to make mixtapes, but I can't really remember how I did it.
Okay, so it's not just one out. You don't just dub off the album.
I think I used to make mixtapes off the radio.
Yeah. So you'd wait for the track to come on,
Yeah.
and you'd press record and play, and then you'd have it. So I've got loads of mixtapes I made from back in the day knocking around. And sometimes I put one on, and I've also got some mixtapes on CD, mixed CDs. Got one that my eldest made for me years ago when they were about 13. And it's great to play that because it takes you back to that period so specifically.
Yeah.
Oh my God, why were we listening to this so much? There was a song in it, come my baby, come a little baby, come a little baby,
Yeah.
be my butterfly.
Butterfly by Crazy Town.
Yeah,
Great song.
It's a great song, but I think they had one hit.
Yeah.
But you would never, I think, remember to go, you know what I really want to listen to today? Crazy Town.
I would.
But but the fact it's on this CD is kind of cool. So CD's coming back as well, apparently.
Yeah.
And there's quite a lot of people making new Walkmans, like portable things like this, as well as like boom boxes. Do you remember boom boxes?
Big time. Well, I don't remember. I was a bit young for boom boxes, but I obviously know them from films.
There was a guy I knew called Simon who had a boombox. He was a London-based guy, but he had a boombox. He did like one of the New York early hip-hop guys, so it had like buffalo horns on it.
On the
Yeah,
boombox.
it's a big boombox that was sprayed with graffiti and had buffalo horns on the outside of it.
Would you ever
carry
DJ?
around. I have DJed a couple of times, but I've DJed
On vinyl or on CD?
I did it on just on sort of like tracks I'd already preloaded.
Yeah.
With a fader mixed in between. But I've only DJed twice, and it's sort of showing off now, so I apologise once, because two people asked me to DJ for them.
Oh, it's going to be like Princess Diana or something, isn't it?
No, but I did have lunch with Princess Diana.
Oh
back
my
in the day.
God!
No, I DJed for Yoko Ono and David Bowie. They're the two people I DJed for.
We've just talked about Yoko Ono, David Bowie, and Princess Diana, all of which you've met.
I love Yoko. Yoko, I love. I did love David. I still have dreams about David, weirdly. Where,
What
like,
about?
just when I'm talking to him. I had one about a week ago.
No.
Casual dreams where he's talking. We're just talking about stuff. It's really weird.
When you think about things about your career, like, because I'm sat here and I'm genuinely astounded, like, wow, there are people, for example, that I'm waiting to interview, and I hope to be, when I get older, in a similar position to you, where you can look back in your career and go, I've spoken to some of the most iconic people in the world. Firstly, how does that feel when you reflect on that? I know this has nothing to do with travel, but I can't not ask that question.
It depends what angle you're reflecting from. Sometimes I'll think about it and I'll feel quite a little angry or a little ashamed even that I didn't do a good job. I'll feel angry that I handled it and without really being aware at the time of how lucky I was to have that person there, and I did it to make a fun moment on TV and did jokey stuff. When in actual fact, I'm thinking, actually, you know what? I should have just let them talk because people really wanted to hear what they say. You know, earlier on in particular, I used to inject myself more into the interviews, and partly that was the nature of the show we were doing. So it was a requirement of it. But still, you know, about thinking, oh, you know what? Why did I not go there or there or there? But other times, if I'm being more generous with myself, I'll think, okay, yeah, you know, how amazing and how lucky my career has allowed me to spend time spending, you know, just talking to those people even briefly, particularly people whose work I really loved or admired, you know, and I kind of really met all the people whose work really meant stuff to me. You know, like Bowie I did quite a few times, and I saw him socially once or twice as well, and then Lou Reed and Iggy Pop and Brian Ferry and people from that period, you know, generally like Susie Sue and all the people I grew up loving when I was a punk, who I then got to meet later on, who I had the chance to put on my show and give them a slot, often when other people maybe weren't so much considering them. You know, so I really do feel very lucky. But there's very few people, some of the filmmakers I've met whose work I really love and admire. Like I remember one time when I went out to Martha's Vineyard to spend the afternoon with Spielberg, interviewing him. You know,
What was that like?
that was great.
Lovely bit of travel there.
Okay, so I'm gonna. You'll enjoy this on anecdote. So we were talking about films, and I was talking about a certain period in French cinema that I was interested. We were just chatting about it, and I talked about one film I love, and he said, "You know what? I've never seen that film, or if I have, I don't remember it." I said, "Well, I'll send you my DV if you'd like to borrow it. I've got a copy on." And I had It was a film called Bob Le Flambeur, which I really love, by a director called Jean-Pierre Melville. It's a really great film. So. And I used to have my CDs. I used to take them out of the hard case and I put them in like little slips things so I could keep more of them. So I had it in there and I found it in the file system, put it in an envelope, sent it off to Spielberg's office. And then he sent it back, which doesn't always happen when you lend people stuff. Sent it back with a note. It's amazing, the note saying, "Thank you so much. I really enjoyed seeing the movie again." A couple of comments about it and said, "And by the way, nice to see I'm in such good company." I thought, what's that mean? So I pulled out the note and I realised there was another note in there which had been put in there from the last person I lent it to, which was Sir Richard Attenborough. And he said, "Darling Jonathan, thank you so much for the film. Yes, it's as good as I remember." So I've got both those notes still in there.
I just love that your career has been based around and this is where I feel the similarity with you. I feel such an allegiance with you. Your career has been so incredible because of your geekness and passion for what you do.
But you know, I'm lucky. I'm really lucky because the stuff I loved, I've always loved the same sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And then what happened in a way was the rest of the world caught up with me a little bit. So like, I always loved comic books.
Trend-setting.
No, but I don't
Trend-setting masked lesbian over here.
I don't think I set trends, but I can remember once being laughed at. And it really embarrassed me when I was about 15 or 16. And you know when you're awkward, and I was so awkward because I'm really short-sighted, so I used to wear these really thick glasses. Like I'm a -9 in each eye. So like if I haven't got my lenses in, I can't really see anything and focus past about that far from my face. You know, it's literally about
You've
6
got
inches.
lenses in right now?
Yeah. I wear lenses all the time, otherwise I can't see. Or sometimes I wear my glasses.
Are the lenses very thin?
No, the lenses aren't thick. I don't know how it works, but the glasses are.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting on, so I was like really, for years, I was so embarrassed around girls. I didn't, you know, I was like really, and I went to all boys schools. That doesn't help. And I remember sitting on a train and 2 girls about the same age were laughing at me. And they were laughing at me because I was sitting there reading Tintin.
Oh.
But I tell you what, Tintin's a great series. Those Tintin books are amazing.
Isn't it French as well?
It's Belgium.
Belgian.
Is Hergé, whose real name was Jacques Remy, I believe.
Yeah.
I think it was Jacques Remy. But certainly it was Remy. And amazing art. La ligne claire is the name for that style of art in comic book terms. Bande dessinée is the French term for comics. Anyway.
He's a very big comic book geek, if you didn't know that.
But the fact that when I was reading that stuff, to be an adult or a young adult reading that was seen as like sort of like embarrassing.
Yeah.
Whereas now it isn't. You know, and like to know about that stuff was seen as useless information, and it kind of is to an extent useless. But you know, it's as useful as knowing about football, which was fine to know about when I was a kid, and I wasn't very interested in.
I think that's cool, and I think you found your niche and you hit on it. My equivalent of that was that I was a member of the Beano fan club and had it delivered every week.
Well, I heard a thing about Beano, which I'm not 100% sure is true, but I think there's an element of truth in it. Is that every 10 years they basically reprint the same stories. Because they realised that the audience has grown up, but literally the same story they reprint. And then they started like doing modern art on the same story. And I know there's a lot of stuff in the Beano now which is created in the moment because it will have guest appearances by like Camilla or something,
Yeah.
or King Charles. But it used to be that you'd read the same stories. But Beano and Dandy and all that stuff was amazing.
I only read Beano because I thought I was Dennis the Menace.
Well, Dennis the Menace and Beryl the Peril, I think, was in the Dandy.
I resonated with the boy.
You're very...
I was very much like a little boy. When I was a kid, I dressed like a boy. I wanted to be perceived as a boy because I kind of liked how my brothers were treated. Like running
Dennis
around
the
on the
Menace.
floor.
Yeah.
I was a detective too. I used to have a briefcase.
That's good. I like the idea of that. Did you
Yeah.
have a magnifying glass?
Yep.
Yeah.
I can imagine us being quite good
And
detectives
how
together.
old was it before you got a friend?
Still haven't. You're my only friend.
I'm not your friend. Well, look, I'll tell you what. I'm a well-disposed acquaintance.
Yeah. I've got his number. One of the most famous people on my phone. Not the most famous, but one of.
Oh, who's the most famous? Although it's subjective, of course. It's subjective.
Yeah. I don't know.
The weird thing is, some of the famous, I've got lots of famous numbers on my phone, but some of them, see, I haven't changed my phone number for like 30 years.
So Stevie's still got your number, Spielberg.
Everyone's still got my number.
Yeah.
Everyone. And my number was put online a few years ago. And
Oh,
I didn't
really?
bother yeah. And I didn't bother changing it. And I used to kind of get prank calls. I go, look, you really, yeah, okay, How much is this call costing it? Because, okay. And one time I got a prank call, and I really felt sorry for the kid. It was like I was staying in Florida, and we got a call in the middle of the night, and I put my phone on silent. But when I looked back at my message, it was a message, and he hadn't hung up. And I listened to it, and I could hear him. I'm not making this up. I could hear him having a row with his mum because he'd got his exam results and they weren't good. And she was saying, "What are you going to do then? Can you not fucking stay in here?" Like that. And I thought, oh, it's even worse. And he's going to get a phone bill, either his house phone bill, if you call from, or his mobile. It's going to be huge because he didn't hang up for me in Florida, and it just recorded like half an hour of messages.
Well, that'll teach him.
But anyway, I've got the same phone number. But what I noticed is a lot of famous people tend to change their phone numbers quite often.
Yeah.
Like every year or something. So you'll go to call someone and go, "Oh, I see, and you didn't update me, thanks."
Yeah. The WhatsApp's gone. WhatsApp image is gone.
I've only recently started using WhatsApp.
Do you know what? When I first texted you for the first time, I thought, there's no way this man uses WhatsApp. I'm going to iMessage.
But I find it really quite irritating that there are so many ways people contact you now. And like, someone say, yeah. And like, I think you should all agree to use one method.
Yeah.
Because like, you know what I mean? It's like someone will say, "Oh, I texted you." And I'll say, "Oh, you texted me." And they say, "Did you see my message?" And I look at my text and I said, "Oh, I WhatsApped you." Well, if you messaged me last time, why are you WhatsApping me this time? Why do you expect me to check both? And then I sent you a DM on Instagram. It's like, okay, so there are 3 methods I have to check now to see I'm up to date.
And you do, Jonathan. But actually, this leads quite nicely because we like to get something off our chest on this show. So perhaps that's your, by the way, off your chest.
Well, I do.
By the way, you want everyone to use the same communication method.
No, I want people to communicate less. Communicate better, but communicate less.
Right. One word.
Okay, so, one word, stop. Because when I was a kid, which was a long time ago, what's great was people couldn't get hold of you.
No.
So you get up in the morning, if you want to go around a friend's house, sometimes, so we didn't have a phone in my house till I was about 8 or something. But if you wanted to, and by the way, we were going out on our own from 7 back then. You just go out for the whole day. Your parents didn't know where you were. Well, no, that was the way the world was. And so if you wanted to see if a friend was in, what you did was you got on your bike, rode around and knocked on their front door.
Yeah.
Say, yeah, is Joe in? No? Okay, all right, tell him I called. Bye. Okay.
That's probably why you're so confident.
Is Steve in? No, okay, we'll go to someone else. Dave? No, okay, go home.
That's probably why you're so confident, though, if you think about it. Some people can't even answer the phone now.
I think you did have to, because I remember when I was a kid, like struggling at some stages to talk in public or like at school when you had to say something. And gradually it was only by being forced to do it and going through that discomfort, you did get to the stage where you realised, oh, you know what, what's the worst going to happen? It's not going to be that bad, but you do have to go through that, what feels a real terrible kind of challenge to break through. I remember at school when for some reason, my school they decided to set up a student body. And this was when I was about 14, 15. And I said, I'll do it. And I had to go and sit. And I sat in the room with the teachers who, you kind of feared and dreaded speaking to the teachers by then. And they went, okay, have you got anything to say? And I remember the whole meeting, I was thinking, I'm going to have to speak. I'm going to speak for half an hour, like sweating. And then I said, no, it's all good. Or something like that. Oh, the relief. And I thought, why was I scared? It was like, because you didn't interact with the adult world that much back then. So I just noticed something. You haven't, have you paid for these couches?
Yeah.
Why have they still got the tags on the back?
Shut up, Jonathan.
You've still got the tag on the back of your couch. Are you thinking of taking these back? This is so that if this podcast isn't a success, you can take these back.
Yeah. I'm returning these tomorrow.
Well, it will be a success, Harriet Rose, so you can pull off that tag.
Final question. What's it like being on the other side of the interview?
I don't mind it always. I'm always a bit worried that, because I'm very talkative. So I'm worried that A, I'm going to be super boring and talk too much, which I can be, or I'm going to be too unguarded, because I'm not very guarded. I have to remind myself not to say everything, because you realise that even though you can normally justify what you've said, if it's in the context of when you said it, more often than not, especially old media, love to take things out of context so they can create some sort of a link and like a little bit of rage bait or something like that. So I have to be a bit more guarded than I actually am comfortable being, because I don't mind just being
You're an open book for sure.
Yeah, I'll talk about almost anything, but you know, and also you have to do that out of respect for other people sometimes, because your life, you know, you're not an island, and you have to realise it has repercussions.
Yeah, and also when you do shows like Traitors, you do need to lie.
You have to lie, yeah, but it was weird that, you know, it actually wasn't that bad. The lying itself wasn't bad. It was seeing people when they worked out you'd been lying and then feeling sort of ashamed.
Embarrassed.
And like, oh, I did lie to you. I remember getting out after to one of them and he was saying, who'd believe me? And he went, yeah, but you looked me right in the eyes.
And that's the game.
Yeah, no, he was cool about it, but it was like, yeah, I know. And then you realise, oh, yeah, I did a good job. But it was, you know, you should go in Traitors. If they asked you, you should go in. You'd be great in that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love, hear that? Producers of Traitors, Jonathan Ross has endorsed me. Get me in there and make me lie.
Can I just say that I just say that to everyone anyway? I know quite a few of the new people are going in, but I can't tell you.
Oh, Jonathan, is there any piece of advice you'd like to give to our listeners before you go?
By the way, if you see an old man on the train and he's standing up and you're a younger man, don't offer him his seat, because he doesn't need your seat necessarily. And yes, maybe this did happen to me recently. Maybe a young guy did offer me his chair on the train, and maybe I decided not to take it. And maybe I was a little bit shaken. And then I thought, maybe he thought I was pregnant. Maybe that's why he offered me the chair. But then I realised that's probably not the case either. So, by the way, don't do that. I mean, do it if they look like they need the chair.
If they've got like a literal stick.
Yeah, I was offered a seat by a young man. He stood up, he saw me, he went, oh, would you like to sit down? I went, no. I was offered a seat on the tube.
Can I just say, I would never offer you a seat on the tube.
I know, and I respect you for that. But it's also because you wouldn't give it to anyone. Even if there was a really, really tired mother of 6 looking there, pregnant, carrying 4 bags, everyone else would offer their chair. Harriet would just sit there going, no, not my problem.
And that's what he thinks of me. Is it correct? I guess we'll never know.
I don't think that of you. Maybe a little bit. No, I don't think that.
Can I just say, I'm more passive aggressive. I'm the person that gets up and goes, can't believe you didn't get up, to the person that's sitting.
To the person next to you. Why do you do that?
Because I'm passive aggressive.
Yeah, but what do you get out of it?
What don't I get out of being passive aggressive?
I mean,
joy.
Do you get joy out of it?
Yeah, exhilaration.
What, because
thrill.
you have...
Passive aggressively let you know that you've annoyed me.
But that's not passive aggressive. That's aggressive.
No, I do it more passively like this.
Passive
Ready?
is-
You're the person next to
Okay,
me on the tube.
So I'm sitting next to you. I didn't give up my seat, and then you did, and you stand up.
This is what happens. Ready? Can you still see us?
I don't know what to make of that, to be honest with you, because that was quite unusual.
That's what I'm doing. I'm staring at you.
Yeah, you're staring at me. I suppose I did get the feeling that, yeah, you judged me harshly, but I also got the feeling that I didn't give a fuck.
Thank you very much, Jonathan Ross.
Thank you for inviting me.